The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is losing a record number of its membership.
Travis Wingedzel. My original intention this morning was to do a whole hieroglyphic abridgment of the latter days for you. The good guy that I am, Mormons missed it, so I thought I would abridge the latter days for Mormons so that they can get caught up before they're utterly destroyed for their unbelief and disobedience. But no, as I was checking the news, YouTube is showing me Mormons trying to force me, threaten me to go back to church by recommending Mormon channels. There's this Gilgamesh Loves Mormons channel. I don't know what GLM is supposed to mean. He's got 8,000.13K subscribers. The GLM YouTube channel is designed to provide helpful and thoughtful, provoking content for Mormons who are trying to better ... And of course, I'm not subscribed. And you'd think that AI would be smart enough to go, okay, he's not clicking on the video, he's not clicking on the channel, he's not even subscribing. I think he wants to see more of it. It's just, AI is a fraud, guys. It is not intelligent. The glory of Google is an AI. Antitrust violators. It's all a big con. Dear God. And so, yeah, it's similar to the UFO thing. You notice how way back after World War II, all these UFO experiences and the X-Files came out, which were based on actual case files from the X-Files of the FBI. And so, yeah, everybody was going, yeah, the government's covering up aliens. And then we find out with the release of the classified documents that it was just the stealth technology that they were experimenting with. And so now, in the past couple of years, we've had all of these testimonies in Congress from former pilots and all this stuff about how aliens are back. With this super new technology. And you think it's all real, don't you? Because all these people are doing videos on YouTube about how it's all real. It's all real. I even saw news this morning about a guy who's publishing a book on it. Come on, people! We have the technology already available for us to buy. Amazon's trying it and failing with it. Hello, drones. But you just get these gullible people who want something that's out of the ordinary, and they just are so gullible they'll believe whatever they're told to believe. But however, before we get to GLM, which is online with this whole thing, Mormons who are looking for something more to prove the church is true, and it's right in front of you. Nope, The Lincoln Project. CNN brought it up. And so I was curious, what is this? A daddy and daughter video from the Lincoln Project? I want to know more. And so I did click on it. I think I'm subscribed to it. But does YouTube AI recommend it in my feed? No. So, yeah, a dad and daughter driving along, cop pulls them over, has to see the license and registration. And then finds out they're trying to flee the state to get the underage daughter an abortion. And the cops arresting them. That could have gone so much darker than it already was. I was already terrified. Sweet. You're under arrest for avoiding your motherly responsibilities. As a teen girl. Oh, that was sweet. And so, yeah, it's a stupid argument. You get a false dichotomy that's going on. Both extremists. And they're both arguing that the other extremism is wrong, therefore they're the only one that therefore can be true. There is no other option. And so, yeah, this whole abortion is murder thing is stupid, because we all know conservatives murder the kid when they're an adult, or the kid grows up to be the murderer, voting for conservatives. We all know this. This whole thing is stupid. It's all an attempt to destroy the Constitution. So, GLM, before I get off on this other tangent. A video 3 days ago, and of course YouTube supports him because he's a Mormon. 7.1K views. You're about to get owned, boy. And he is. He's a little kid who put on a mask of facial hair. What is this? Come on! Stop it! Shave! And so he's got an old computer system as he's typing in www.churchofjesuschrist.org. There's a quicker way to get it. And so he's got Book of Origins of the Book of Abraham. New essays. And so, yeah, I was kind of curious, because I already know all about this. Especially the one he's focused on. Go to academia.edu, GLM, my channel. You will see what you want to see, because the church ain't gonna tell ya. Right, John Gee? And so yeah, it's got the him, I'm assuming, and he's doing the white supremacist code symbol. It's what I learned watching Trump rallies. Stand back and stand by in the coming days. And he's running for president. You know America's fallen when, oh my hell. And so, the title of his video, for which YouTube is promoting, church is true, we gotta promote this. Travis, shut him down quick. For 1 hour during shift change. Oopsies. 71 views in that 1 hour for me. Oopsies. That should be my views per minute, and YouTube knows it. But nonetheless, breaking down the 5 new LDS church essays. And then in brackets, all caps, honest reaction. Oh my hell. So yeah, YouTube is led to believe, YouTube creators are led to believe that if you put a human PNG on your thumbnail picture, as he's given the gang sign, with reaction, that's going to get you lots of views. And yeah, YouTube placates them. Says, yep. It has nothing to do with this. It's all a trick. It's an AI trap. Because AI is so intelligent. And so, then, the discussion for the video, the LDS Church just released 3 days ago. And so, Monday, Sunday, Saturday, so he's assuming Friday night, as we'd see 4 days sometime today. So he's assuming Friday night, he's doing a church news video, because I don't do those, do I? This is where the joke has been for decades. If you want to keep something secret from Mormons, you publish it in a manual. Case in point. Oh my hell. So the little girls have now gone to work. The doggy pound, the extermination center for doggies, has, you know, it's cute. You know, the young boys and the young girls show up for work to slaughter little doggies. And the girls are loving the attention that they're getting from the young boys. And so they're very loud. And they're talking on about all these other things. It's so cute. The LDS Church just released 5 new essays on Friday. How did I miss this? Here I am focusing about other things. That's what happens, Travis, when you kick the pricks. On their topics and questions section of the LDS website. In this video, I give my ... You dumbass. No, it wasn't 5 essays. It was the manual. And I think it was actually back on Monday, wasn't it? Oh, God. So this is what happens. Mormons are just couch potato Mormons. They're just casual Mormons. Lazy learners, lax disciples. All of a sudden he's finding this. And so, let me give you the backstory of what he missed. That nobody's going to care. In February 1997, I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. In April, my wife says, my kids will not learn Hebrew, and fled the country with the kids and my research and the laptop or a computer. It's an Osborne. It's sort of like a pre-laptop thing. It's thick. And all the files, which were floppy disks of my research. And so, yeah, she purposely intended, I know she would have deleted the files, purged everything of my research as she took it up so that she could become an author, a published author on Amazon finally. As she apparently got approved for 2 of her books that are now available on Amazon. The first one has to do with me. Her side of the story, huh? Yeah, I'm the bad guy. Just to let you know. Just a warning. Spoiler alert. I'm the bad guy in her first book. But it reveals how evil she is. I'm not going to do a video about her book. I'm not promoting her. You have to search Amazon to find it, and you're not, because you're not going to type it in correctly, because AI on Amazon also is not very intelligent. You getting the pattern for AI yet? And so eventually I'd get my tax return for that year, and I'm forced to buy a whole new computer system. And it was one of the e-machines because it was cheap. I'm limited on money. I just graduated, just deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, and my wife abandoned the marriage. And I got blamed for violating the family proclamation. Where were the cops to lock her up and pull her over? Dear God. And so, yeah, I won't go into that version of the story. We'll stick to the essay version. And so, after redoing it, I then look around trying to find any Mormon that can provide me with other information for me to run tests on. I used the Joseph Smith King Follett discourse at first, and so I was wanting more. And so, yeah, I already had the Temple one, Paleo, that's easy. And it wasn't even Joseph Smith, that was John Taylor. It's mouth to God. And so then I checked the CES director. I'm curious to know if it's the same CES director that you sent a letter to, Jeremy Reynolds. He told me to enlist in the military service and go to the Iraqi war. going on at the time. And because they were needing chaplains. So he was telling me to go kill myself. So yeah, pursuing that for further information was a dead end. Literally, dead end. Tried to kill me. Why don't you go kill yourself, Travis? And so then I find Farms, Foundation for Ancient Research and Mormon Studies. So clever. And their mission statement was, we don't intend on proving anything. We're just about faith promotion. Whatever comes to our mind that sounds good, that gives you an honest reaction. And so, yeah, the majority of their publications was Hugh Nibley. It had gotten started because of John Welsh, not his actual name. It was something like Jack or something like that. He's just called John Welsh. But on his mission, he thinks he found Hebrew chiasmus in the Book of Mormon. Ah, you dumbass. And so, that's his big thing. And so BYU hired him to be a teacher there, and likewise start up the first Mormon apologist group. And little did he know, he just found the first plagiaristic book, other than the Bible, of 1679, something like that, the King James Version. Yeah, he found the Late War of Napoleon, which was a school textbook back in that day. And so you can go online, breaking news, just found Friday, the Late War is in the Book of Mormon. Side-by-side comparison chart. No. That's been known since he came out with it. Because whenever somebody comes out with a discovery, there's always people who fact check them. And so I don't know if any of you know about the guy who created the Bible Code. Has books published because, using his Bible Code creation, he saved the life of the Israeli Prime Minister back in that day. I think it was back in the 90s as well. And so because he saved the life of the Israeli Prime Minister with his Bible Code, therefore he got his boost of fame. And it's all a fraud, as of course actual scientists took the challenge that he had said, I dare anybody to use Moby Dick and do the same thing that I did. Well, somebody did, and they did. Moby Dick proves Jesus is true in the Bible Code. When you understand how it functions, which he lays it all out for you, it's a fraud. Anybody can do it with so many numbers and such. And so yeah, he thinks he found 9/11 and all this other stuff too. No. See, that's the one weakness, is he's not able to use it as a prophetic tool, because he has to know the information first in order to search for it. And so after it happens, then he's able to put in all this stuff, and they're general enough that, sure, we'll just twist definitions and we just expand it as far as possible to have as many words as possible in there, and that's a fraud. And yet, when I was teaching Sunday school one Sunday, downtown after I had to flee my parents' house after the abandonment and no cops locking her up. One of the elderly in the audience came up to me before the class and asked if I knew the Bible code and what I thought of it, and I told him it's a fraud. Because there's certain things you have to look for. First, the Dead Sea Scrolls had already come out and confirmed that the Masoretic text conforms and complies the closest to the Dead Sea Scrolls, the oldest document of the Bible. Documents of the Bible. They were not in one book back then. Constantine turned the Jewish scriptures into a book and called it Old Testament, New Testament. That you need to understand. And so Farms then mocked me. Said, no, you're wrong. Paleo-Hebrew has already been known and established by the Masoretes, who botched it bigly from 800 to 1000 CE. And I've done videos explaining it even recently. There's multiple linguistic patterns in the Masoretic text of the Bible, the biblical Hebrew text. Oh my God. Talk about your multi-personality disorders. But this is not the original author's work. This is from the Masoretes, who caused it. There is no such thing as a multiple personality disorder. Sorry, psychologists are frauding you just like AI. And so, having deciphered Paleo-Hebrew was real easy to do, because I'm able to find out that all of these so-called scholars are lying, deceiving the masses. And talking with John Tvetness on the phone, he snapped and said Joseph Smith is false. He's wrong. His translation from the Bible, retranslation, is incorrect. And he was the best Hebrew scholar that they had at the time. And me, as a little 27, 28-year-old, had shown up. This old man who had spent his whole life only having his thesis paper from college to support his lifestyle with the church, and gets humiliated by me. So yeah, he held a lecture on how the Book of Abraham supports Joseph Smith, or supports Joseph Smith's claims about the Bible. And so I attend that. It was packed. There's an overflow class with a screen to watch. And at the end of his thing, I raise my hand and say Joseph Smith's translation of the biblical Hebrew text from the King Follett sermon seems to support your lecture, the basis of your theory. So I'm being the good guy. The whole audience in a murmur. They've never known about the King Follett sermon, I guess. John Dehlin is now put on the spot, the foremost Hebraist of the church. an old man whose whole career is based on his college thesis paper. That's his only credibility. Hasn't done a thing since. And so he puts on a show. You probably are referring to the King Follett sermon where Joseph Smith talks about the Bible and So is Joseph Smith wrong? Quit distracting. Answer the bleeping question. And instead of supporting Joseph Smith and taking this opportunity to be faith promoting in front of Mormons at BYU in this overflow packed lecture, he says instead, I never said that. That's not what I was asking, but thank you for confirming. I would then go on to get a letter from from Daniel Peterson banning me from farms. And John Gee would follow up with a letter in a multi-personality disorder letter with multiple translations of Egyptian. And the reason why I knew that is because I knew how to translate Egyptian too by then. Because I've told you the story about how my dad tried to prove me wrong by taking me to a lecture of Gifford? Having trouble with his first name. They had been to Berkeley together, where I was born. And so when my dad knew that he was going to be giving a lecture at BYU, my dad took me there to have me speak with him to be discouraged from getting into the field so that I can be proven wrong about deciphering Paleo-Hebrew and my knowledge of Egyptian. Dad. You're supposed to support your children, not tell them that they are worthless scum that won't amount to anything when they're older. So why bother trying? And so, yeah, it's bugging me. I can't remember his name. Anyway, because it's in the associative memory, and it's screaming to get out, and it just can't get out. And Wilfred Griggs. Gotcha. That's him. And so he's talking to us afterwards as we're walking him to his car. And he talks about how he was at one event and people were asking him what the translation on a particular coffin was. There was a symbol that they couldn't figure out. And so he's telling us that he just made it up and now it's being published with his made up thing that is wrong. And yet everybody's publishing it because he was wrong. He just made something up rather than saying, I don't know. He had to pretend that he knew it all and he lied, and now the lie is the truth. Wilfred Griggs. Don't bother looking him up. All of his work is made up. Good job, Dad. You've certainly told me to back down. But that wasn't all. My dad still had to enforce that I was wrong and that I should stop and give up. With a computer, he had found an online computer test to see how well your Egyptian is. And so he had taken it and failed, 0% correct. So he thought, great, this would be perfect. I'll show Travis. Prove my son wrong. Hey, Travis, I got a computer question, or an Egyptian test for you. Go ahead, take it. Okay, Dad. He's hovering over my shoulder, watching the whole time. And I'm taking the questions, answering the questions, and it's taking a long time. I'm getting bored. Still answering, and at the end, 100%. You're right, Dad. I don't want to go into this profession whatsoever. I'm just not intelligent enough for this. I'll just go back to sitting on the couch watching TV in your basement. Because I'm good for nothing. Oh, this has been a horrible life. Dear God. As the cops would be pulling me over to arrest me instead. For violating the family proclamation, Travis. Oh, dear God. And so, how this ties in is because translation and historicity of the Book of Abraham was written by John Gee, the multi-personality disorder in Egyptian. And so as you read through it, he denies prophecy and revelation. He says, Joseph Smith never said he was a translator. He revealed. That's the gift and power of God through the rock and a hat. It's revelation. He's redefining what revelation is to say that the church is true, that the prophets, revelators, are true prophets and revelators, when clearly the church's statements make it very clear we're never going to prophesy or reveal anything. We're not going to do it. Nah. So you're false prophets and false revelators. No, no, no. Pay your tithing. And they don't even touch translator. That's gone since Brigham Young. Oh, dear God. And so, yeah, this is just, oh my hell. And so, these came out in 2013. These essays were in response to the mass exodus of over 10 million Mormons from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 2011. With the advent of social media on the internet. See, I'm already locked away in the secret concentration camp paid for by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, having first ordered it. I still have the receipt. Somebody needs to pay me restitution for the damages they've caused. And so, I'm out of the picture. Farms is going through some tough times as they would be dissolved by Hinckley. As they tried to get me booted off of the footnoting committee to revise the footnotes for the Spanish edition. That was the first one. And so you need to understand, just like the drone technology, they're so far ahead of what we're allowed to purchase in the stores. I don't think you quite understand this, because we were working on it and didn't finish it completely until 2004. And so another 5 years later, they finally get it all printed. And they're publishing it and advertising for it on the church news. So things take time. And so, yeah, even as I was working, I remember the first day when they brought in the first completed page for the print press. And so, yeah, they tried to do it as we finished them. And it still took years to finally finish it all. So understand. And we were hoping for an English version of our work, but they didn't want to do English because Ballard was still alive. Ballard's dead now. Are you going to put out the English versions? No, because you're ready to, upon the winding down and dissolution of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, yeah, in the coming days, 9/11. Let's find out. Sitting on our couch, doing nothing to prepare. I had a comment from somebody who wants to go to Zion and said nobody else is leaving, so yeah, that's the problem. Everybody's waiting for somebody else to make it popular so that all can go as some kind of a clique. Oh my hell. Did Lehi wait for a clique? No. Did Nephi wait for a clique? No. You're waiting to be compelled. You're waiting to be the Mulekites or the Limhites. If you read your Book of Mormon, if you follow the church news, you would have known this and not made a dumbass of yourself and expose over 7.1K people who also knew nothing of this. Okay? So, 2011, mass exodus from the church. 2012 is when we get the numbers of the mass exodus. So the news is all over it. That's the little clip I've had for all this time. Record number of Mormons are apostatizing, leaving the Church of Jesus Christ. And it was because of a statement that Larson, I think it was a Larson, maybe. I had him as Rick's college teacher for the Book of Mormon, I think, and I failed his class, and so I had to submit a letter after my mission apologizing and wanting to get back in because I didn't want to stay with my family. Yes, I failed the Book of Mormon. I didn't show up for the final, and so yeah, that was before my mission. I was escaping my parents. That was it. Rick's College was a safe city, whatever it's called, sanctuary city for me. to escape my abusive parents. But as a result, the church, in a panic about this, had spent that whole year getting John Gee and others to confess that what had already been exposed by Gerald and Sandra Tanner in their big book, Mormonism, Shadow or Reality, had exposed. And the church was in denial and blah, blah, blah. And so with the advent of social media and the internet, people were able to post this stuff that used to be kept secret without public exposure of the internet. And so now the church had to go into repair mode, because there are not prophets or revelators, and so they have no clue how to prepare for a future catastrophe, to warn Mormons in advance. Amos 3:7. Nope. It's all about, well, we told you generally to prepare for anything that could happen, and so it's on you. We're not going to prophesy. We might get exposed as being false. Yeah? No duh. And so the church came out with the 5 church essays. And he has a sub-video here, 6 chapters, intro, origins of the book of Abraham, multiple accounts of the first vision, the only true and living ... And so, they still have the same old picture after all these years. Cute little honey bunny red, wearing her required ring. No single women on this. You are required to be married, barefoot, pregnant, in the kitchen, or studying your scriptures, as we tell you to do when we take a photo op. And so you can see that her scriptures are purposely highlighted in red and yellow for gospel topics rather than how I was using them for. But that's old school stuff. They don't want you to do that anymore, because that will lead to apostasy and intelligence, and the glory of Jesus is stupidity, and so you have to conform and comply rather than going away from the church with knowledge. Yeah, it's the still small feeling now. It's no longer the still small voice. You don't want to produce the fruits. And so she's most likely divorced now. The older singles ward, but being allowed back into the younger singles ward because of the church and the church news just the other week, have extended the age of the younger singles to 35. Whew. So now she's a cougar from BYU into the younger singles ward to get married to a cougar of BYU. She just feels better now. Feeling younger. Church is true. And so, listen to the distraction. The church has always pulled this stunt. This church is true because we say that Joseph Smith is Christian and saw Jesus, and that the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus Christ. Therefore, this church is true. If they're not, then this church is false. Yeah, because it's false. Joseph Smith was Jewish. Book of Mormon is Jewish. They didn't see Jesus. It was Amen El. Father Amen, Son Amen. Jewish. But Mormons are fooled into thinking, oh yeah, okay, so I only need to figure out one of them being true, and we'll choose the Book of Mormon because the Book of Mormon plates are not available to be tested. And so I just need to feel good about it, and therefore it's true, and therefore Joseph Smith saw Jesus, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is true, and you're a prophet and revelator without prophesying or revealing anything. Got it. And so there's actually more than 5, you dumbass. And so they've had, are Mormons Christian? No! But they'll say yes. All they did was change the nature and character of Jesus from the first creed of Christianity, which Joseph Smith said in verse 19 is an abomination. The whole thing is wrong. And yet the church just simply changed the nature and character, and all the rest is true. No! It's all wrong. It's Jewish scripture, not Christian scripture. It's Jewish religion, not Christian religion. It's the Jewish Christ, not the Christian Christ. It's prophecy and revelation, not literal history. So there is no second coming. It's still the first coming. And it's about Joseph Smith and the future Messiah ben David. Messiah ben Joseph, Messiah ben David. 2 Nephi chapter 3, verse 5. Becoming like God. Well, the Jewish God is, a human. What if God was one of us? He is. And you missed it. And so thus the video about how you missed the latter days in a hieroglyphic abridgment. So it's going to have to wait for another day. Book of Mormon and DNA studies. Oh my God. Talk about your false dichotomy diversionary tactics. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints claiming that we're Christian, therefore the Book of Mormon is literal history too, just like the Bible. Not. Therefore is about the modern day Jews in America. And so the DNA comes out, and that's what they're testing. Jews! With the American Indians. But still, the American Indians are sufficient enough that you don't even need to use the Jews, but they're trying to claim they're the same DNA source origin. But you need to understand DNA also, so that you can understand how absurd this whole thing is on both sides. Americans, especially those more towards the West, are from China. As there are ancient or classical period Chinese boats that are found submerged under the California coastline. Likewise, on the East Coast, you have the Vikings, who bred with the American Indians on that side. Nonetheless. And so I've been trying to explain to you all this whole time. Book of Mormon, 1 Nephi chapter 1, verse 2. What does it say? Learning of the Jews, verse 4, pre-Babylonian captivity, language of the Egyptians. Why the language of the Egyptians? Because they're tributaries of Egypt, not Babylon. Babylon first came in this first year, so they're not Babylonian yet. They're Egyptian. And so, nobody bothered to check the DNA of the Chinese, did ya? They didn't go back far enough in the DNA line. Yeah, the Chinese come from Egypt. Ta-da! But it's not literal history. And Joseph Smith is even cleverer, because in Abraham chapter 1, he says that the blood of the Egyptian pharaohs comes from Canaan. So, an unrelated to the Book of Mormon and the church DNA testing of Egyptian pharaohs produced the results. Sure enough, their DNA comes from Canaan. And Zawi Hawass was furious and in denial, demanding that they deny the science of DNA to show that they're from Africa. And yet Joseph Smith, again, pulls a rabbit out of his hat, not a rock. Just brilliant. And both sides of you are just arguing over ridiculous stuff and disregarding that this church is evil and going to murder you in the coming days. And so the Book of Mormon translation, Joseph Smith had nothing to do with the composition of the Book of Mormon. Sidney Rigdon's the major author, and because of the Martin Harris scandal, as I did a 3-hour video on that the other day. Wasn't that the 3-hour video one? Or was it an hour and a half or a 2-hour video one I did? But regardless of whatever video it was in the previous days. Yeah, Joseph Smith Sr. had to rewrite the 116 pages. There were a whole bunch of clues if people just simply did their history search. And so the first vision accounts, who cares? All of them are by other people, saying Joseph Smith said this in this year, after the church was formed. Use primary source documents in the Joseph Smith papers. Dear God, people. Nobody knows how to do research. You have people writing stuff in their journal ordered to by Brigham Young to support Brigham Young and be faith promoting. And you believe them, huh? Because they need to be believed because they're females? Being held captive in sexual trafficked polygamous families of rape, being ordered to support the church or die, and you say these women must be believed? You can believe that they were being abused. That's as far as you can go. Anything that comes out of their mouth are the terrorist demands. Joseph's teachings about priesthood, temple, and women, and they will never, right, Oaks? Never refer to 17th of March, 1842. Hey, your presidency can be modeled after our presidency for the church. And if you want even more help from the sisters, you can even organize it as with deacons and teachers' quorums if you want. It's yours. Do whatever you want. Priesthood office for the women. And yet, because Brigham Young didn't want it and dissolved it until he needed women to support him in elections, then 20 years later, the Relief Society was restored to the earth again. And you all fall for this. I tell you over and over and over and over and over. A page for names, a page for dates, a page for places, a page for events, so that you can all cross-reference them quick and easy to know that Joseph Smith had nothing to do with the temple endowment ceremony. That was Brigham who created it. The underwear, Brigham. Women in the priesthood, Joseph. Brigham, no. Blacks priesthood, Joseph, yes. Brigham, no. Real simple if you just reference them. Mother in heaven. You don't mean mothers in heaven? Because you'd then have 4 things on polygamy. Peace and violence among 19th century Latter-day Saints. Yeah, you're the victims of the Danites. You are, but you're not. You're the Danites. You're not the victims who did not go with Brigham Young. Because the Danites chased out all Mormons who would not join their terrorist organization called the Danites, led by Brigham Young. And all those changes in 1838 that framed and blamed Joseph for them. You got a whole bunch of people who still frame and blame Joseph even though they've left the Church of Brigham Young. The biggest con for Mormons, and you all fell for it. And so, yeah, plural marriage, not Joseph. There was no plural marriage in Kirtland. There was no plural marriage that Joseph knew about in Nauvoo, except for John C. Bennett, whom he excommunicated for plural marriage. Joseph Smith in the 1835 Doctrine and Covenants. No polygamy, monogamy. We support the Book of Mormon. And you can't figure this out? When Section 119 comes out when Joseph Smith is dead, by Brigham Young. Only Brigham Young had it with his Doctrine and Covenants. It came with Brigham Young to this valley. Nobody else had it because Brigham Young put it in. And you can't figure this out? Supposedly written in 1838 by Joseph Smith after the failure of the Danites taking out loans from the Kirtland Safety Society and not paying them back, getting Joseph busted for it. So no, Joseph Smith used Malachi. Are you illiterate? Are you unable to understand what Malachi is saying in regards to what tithing is to be used for? The poor, to get them out of poverty. Fruit has seed. Seed gets planted in the earth, producing more fruit with more seed. Not poor anymore. Now you can contribute to the storehouse to help others. And I just did the long list of all of the, dear God, tithing crimes. All from Section 119. Those are all tithing crimes because of Section 119. It was never Joseph's because the Book of Mormon says no. And you just nullified the Book of Mormon saying that Section 119 is true when they released the ledger of Brigham Young last year before Thanksgiving that I did my big old lecture series on, exposing it. Right, Cox? This whole thing was just unbelievable that they would dare say that it has nothing to do with Section 85, that it's all about Section 119 being true. Oh my hell. And so, yeah, the manifesto, yeah, read verse 11 and then find the video where I put in the chart of all the death signs in heavens of every single Brigham Young prophet. Not prophet. False prophet. sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars fall from heaven, because that's how they murdered Joseph. So verse 11. Hilarious. Because yes, God has smoten all of them down for leading Mormons astray. Right, Nelson? Right, Oaks? Who thinks he's going to be next in the coming days? Are you sure you want to be next, Oaks? Are you sure? And race in the priesthood, Brigham Young is a racist, and Kwaku still remains Mormon, despite knowing that this church cannot be true because Brigham Young was racist. Prophet of the living Jesus, racist. But the church is still true because the leader is a racist. Right, wicked King Noah? Your church is true because you're a racist and a bigot and an evil criminal, right? Yeah, their priests had authority because they're wicked, right? No amen to their priesthood, right? Right, Kwaku? Converted to the church as a teenager and studies his scriptures, he knows it all, and yet stays Mormon. And then translation and historicity of the Book of Abraham. And if you've ever followed me, you've seen the videos where I give you the full completed translation. Joseph didn't finish. He didn't do number 3, but he only put in 3. There's a whole bunch more that he didn't put in. Why not? Well, facsimile number 1 has a lion couch with a sacrifice being performed on it. Anciently, that's understood as a solar eclipse. In Leo, the lion. Huh. Monson's birthday, 21st of August, 2017. Huh. I'm sure that this couldn't all be the 3 days of darkness of the latter days, could they? Well, we'll put it to the test. Facsimile number 2, a female womb, as well as the eye of God, which would be the sun, and it's got a ring around it for a ring of fire. Solar eclipse, annular eclipse, ring of fire. In Virgo, the woman, 14th of October, 2023, over Utah. And then the wedding supper feast at the Zion Temple. 8 April 2024. Ta-da! X marks the spot. Joseph Smith knew, guys, because he's a prophet and a revelator. Trying to help you out. You would not believe. And so, yeah, these things have been in there since 2013. And James Baker came out as a bishop back then, went over them, and realized that the church is confessing to having lied to us. That Joseph Smith used a rock and a hat, that Joseph Smith was guilty of polygamy, that Joseph Smith can't translate, that the Book of Mormon was just revelation, and therefore, all of this talk about how it's plagiarism of over 36 different books must be true, and so you just have to believe that it's inspired, and he has memorization abilities to be able to put them in the right place, which is exactly how the ancients put it in as prophecy and revelation. So yeah, James Baker left the church and would go to temple open houses and, to Casper, Wyoming. He would go to Casper, Wyoming back in those days. Church news, remember? And go to conference conferences to help Mormons. Did you know about the Gospel Topics essays? No. Mormons never saw them, never read them, never knew anything about it. The church even put out a survey. Have you been to the Gospel Topic essays? Do you even know that they exist? Mormons unanimously, no. We know nothing of them. The church knows. Nobody knows of them. It's just because of me. And the local news that will cover it. So nobody cares about this church. Even Mormons who are staying Mormon are staying Mormon because they don't care to learn. They don't want to know the truth. They don't want to know what's going on. They're Mormon. They're going to die Mormon, regardless of whether the church is going to murder them in the coming days. They're going to stay Mormon. Unbelievable. And I can't get through to that kind of stupidity. Purposely being stupid so that in their little bubble world, the church is true. And so you get a Mormon who finally decides to do an oopsie and check the church's website and finds this new thing. And it must be true because he's illiterate. He has no clue what any of it is talking about. And I'm willing to bet you he knows nothing of the Joseph Smith papers. Nothing. Mormons don't know. I did the video where I checked. Is anybody talking about the Joseph Smith papers? Nope. Even expos. Nobody knows about the Joseph Smith papers. Nobody's referencing them. I had one Mormon who sent me a link saying, hey, in the Joseph Smith papers, it proves that Joseph Smith was living in Susquehanna County because he bought a house from his father-in-law. Here's the deed. Oops. Dumbass. You just exposed the church. This church is lying to you. One, what is he doing buying a home after the Martin Harris scandal? Two, why are they calling it Harmony when it's not called Harmony? Three, what's he doing with $2,000? Harris didn't sell the farm. He's waiting for it to get finished, then he's going to purchase it, to publish it. Oh my God. It's just unbelievable. And you miss the latter days as a result. All of this you're being distracted with as Exmo Lex is focused on obsessing over bite. Others are picking up other topics. I saw women being referred to me who are discussing their feelings about polygamy under Brigham Young in their 3-hour talk video. Oh my God, guys, the church is about to murder you. Stay on target. Keep your eye on the ball. And you won't, because the church has led you astray and told you not to study, not to pursue the truth. Just trust them and feel good about it, and you get conned. Hour and 14 minutes, huh?